On this episode of Locked On Lightning, the Lightning bounce back in Game 3, 6-2 win at home. We talk about all of that and more, but first, let's play that music.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome to another episode of Locked On Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Adam Danker. I'd just like to thank all of you for making us your first listen of the day. If you're watching us on YouTube, I'd like to thank you for making us your first watch of the day. On today's episode of Locked On Lightning, we talk about the big news. Lightning win 6-2 in Game 3 at home. 6 different Lightning players scoring this one. No Braden Point, no problem. 37 save night for Andrei Vasilevskiy. A great effort all around. Now the question remains, what do the Lightning do going forward? How do they replicate this? We'll talk about that on today's episode as well. And make sure to go ahead and like and subscribe to the pod. Give us a follow wherever the podcasts are distributed. We are available in audio form. So whatever it be, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts, we are available there. And then go ahead and subscribe to the pod on YouTube. The page is popping right now, and it's all because of all of you guys. So thank you for that. So last night, going into last night's game, I have to say, I have a little bit of a confession here. The optimism was at an all-time low for this one. It's because if you look at how this team played, and I spoke about it on the last episode, if you haven't, please go ahead and check that out. Game 2 was one of the worst games I've seen this team at least play within the time I've hosted this show. I'm sure I've seen them lay eggs in other games before, but Game 2 was a game in which I spoke about it. I spoke about it on this show. I spoke about it on Locked On NHL. That all the things that we have spoken about on this show throughout the course of the season, all the holes in the Lightning's game, whether it be going out to a slow start, whether it be puck possession, whatever the Lightning have struggled with throughout the course of the regular season, that was exposed in Game 2. And you kind of figured that Colorado wasn't going to be slowed down in the early game. Why fix it if it ain't broke? And they came out, they played very well in the first couple of minutes. And I spoke about on the show that the key to last night's game was to win the first 5. If the Lightning could hold Colorado at bay, not get overwhelmed by their forecheck within the first 5 minutes, I think that the Lightning would have been able to set a pretty good marker for themselves for the rest of the game. And we saw that. But not to say that it was without its little bumpy moments. Obviously, there was that goal that was overturned early on in the game on the offsides call, which I'm not going to complain. They called it back, which obviously helped out the Lightning, and I'm sure there's going to be some Avalanche fans in the comments section on YouTube of this video saying, "Well, you know what? It's one win." But listen, in the course of a NHL playoff run, especially a Stanley Cup run, any team knows. Probably Avalanche fans don't know because they haven't had a Stanley Cup final run in a while. It's not just good play that you have to sometimes rely on. Sometimes you have to rely on good calls going your way, just little things happening for you. And in a game like this, especially in a game like this where the Lightning are coming off such a bad loss, this game, really the theme to it, if I had to sum it up, was redemption. And the Lightning redeemed themselves in this game and showed that they're not by any means done in terms of this series. And when you get the lucky bounces, when you get the lucky calls that help you kind of tread water until you find your way to the ledge, I think, I welcome all those. And I think that we could all agree that, when you get a call like that, it's your night. And then even that first goal, I thought the first goal, the Landeskog goal, the power play goal, I thought even that for a second, and I was surprised that they didn't wait longer. I was surprised that wasn't called back either. I think the case could have been made that was, and I'm surprised that they didn't mention anything on the broadcast. Then again, I was not watching the game with the audio on. I was out with people watching the game, and I have to say I was surprised that wasn't going to get called back, or there wasn't any. I didn't really see much chatter about it at that moment in time. Granted, I wasn't on Twitter as much as I normally was last night, but I was surprised that wasn't goalie interference. I think the case could have been made that Andrei Vasilevskiy was prevented from attempting to make the save, which is basically what goalie interference is. But whatever, you know what? I'm not going to argue about that. The Lightning won this game 6-2. It wasn't really a goal that was really made a big deal in the grand scheme of things. So, it is what it is. Really, what the positives are in this game, which I really loved, and really this is where the Lightning thrive, is where they get everybody involved. And really that is what you love to see out of this team that is so dynamic. And I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again, is that the great thing about this Lightning team is that everybody from top to bottom, for the most part, could do everything. Everybody could play defense. Everybody could score. And when you get everybody involved in what you did last night, 6 different Lightning players scored goals last night. That's a great night. When you have a night when you get your top scorer, Steven Stamkos, involved, he scores a goal. And then on the other side of that, you get Pat Maroon involved, and he scores a goal. When you have guys kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of scoring ability involved in a night like that, that means that you're doing a lot of great things. You're spreading the puck out. You're spreading the ice out. There's a lot of room on the ice. And that was the big key, I think, for the Lightning in this one, was that they weren't trying to force the issue. They were playing very smart. A lot of smart passes, a lot of creativity, something that we did not see in the first 2 games. You got to tip your cap, obviously, to the Colorado Avalanche and what they did in those first 2 games to prevent the Lightning from that. But really what it came down to was were the Lightning going to be able to adjust to that finally in Game 3? And we saw that. The Lightning did a very good job of adjusting. And if you don't think so, other than the score sheet, the play that really, I think, signifies that the Lightning have kind of welcomed themselves to the series was that passing play from Stamkos to Palat. I thought that really was the turning point for this team. It not only gave them the lead at that point in time, but just the nature of the play, how much space Andrei Palat had. And he has had a fantastic playoff run, definitely in the running in my book for Conn Smythe, at least for me. I thought that really the nature of that play and how Stamkos, kind of a little bit of a give and go there between Palat and Stamkos. I really thought that was fantastic play and really showed that the Lightning weren't going to stop trying to play their game while making the little adjustments, while being disciplined, while taking care of the puck, while doing all those things that are so important to getting your offense firing on all cylinders. So we'll talk about more about what happened in this game, as well as, the positives. How did the Lightning carry that over into Game 4? We talk all of that more, but first I want to talk about our sponsor today, and that is Built Bar. Built Bar. Do you know our friends at Built Bar are always coming out with amazing new flavors? Well, this time Built has truly outdone themselves with their new mud pie flavor, and for the first time ever, Built is introducing the new mud pie flavor in both Mud Pie Bar and Mud Pie Puff. Not sure what Mud Pie tastes like. Well, if you're a chocolate fan like me, you better sit down for this one because the new Mud Pie Bar is rich whipped cream and chocolate mousse smothered in 100% real chocolate and topped with cookies and cream crumble. Not convinced? Well, luckily, we say the best for last. Uh, you know, you need to hurry up now because listen, these things are not only great tasting, but they're low calorie, high protein, and low sugar. The mud pie is packed with 16 grams of protein, only 150 calories, and 8 grams of sugar. It's like home baking, but in the form of a protein bar. So go to built.com, use that promo code LOCK15. You'll get 15% off your next order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. All right, moving on. Just actually not really moving on because really what we're doing is just continuing this conversation, just a broad summary in a way of what happened last night because the Lightning did such a fantastic job, I thought, of really, like I said, in those first 5 minutes, um, not overextending themselves, but also not being too sheepish in their play to where they weren't be able to get themselves going. And like I said before, the thing that was so important was that everybody got involved. It wasn't just one singular player doing that. And you kind of saw that on the Avalanche side of things. Gabriel Landeskog only had scored their 2 goals, which assists by Rantanen and Makar, which those 3 guys are probably the 3 most scariest guys on this team for me, especially Cale Makar. Cale Makar is just one of those players that only 1 goal in this series thus far, but he's one of those players that I'm warning Lightning fans right now. If you don't know a ton about Cale Makar is one of those players. He's just so dynamic. Even though he's a defenseman, he could just do pretty much a little bit of everything on the ice. And the thing that makes him really scary, for me at least, is his skating ability, his ability to do, change directions on a dime. And he's a player that the Lightning are really going to need to keep an eye on. And he was really the fire starter on both of those Landeskog goals. But defensively, I thought the Lightning did a very good job for the most part. All night, had 27 blocks. They really did a fantastic. And I spoke about this during the Rangers series, how we almost saw the Lightning kind of get away from that style of play in a way. They did a fantastic job during the previous series against the Panthers and clogging up those shooting lanes, clogging up those passing lanes. And that was something that we saw that really had the Panthers in fits, and really something that they sort of started to shy away from. And I don't think it was a matter of them just being afraid to block pucks. I mean, this Lightning team has never been afraid to block pucks. Ryan McDonough, one of the most prolific shot blockers in the NHL, and his teammates just follow suit with that. I just think it's one of those things where you just have to figure out tendencies, figure out where guys like to shoot the puck in certain spots, get in defensive positioning. And that was something that we saw the Lightning do a very poor job early on in the first 2 games. And I think really that what that came down to, that's what it came down to in this game, is that the Lightning needed to play a complete game. Like I said earlier, the Lightning did a very good job on the offensive side of things throughout this game last night, which attributed to the 6 goals put on the board. And then on the other side of that, the defensive side of things, another thing where the Lightning were overwhelmed. And the Lightning did a very good job, I saw early on, with especially when they were getting trapped in their own zone by the Avalanche. The Avalanche loved, as you could tell in the first couple of games early on, loved to overwhelm you off the initial puck drop, get the puck deep in your own zone, and try to just trap you there, force a turnover on a little bit of an odd man situation, catch guys out of position. And Tampa did a very good job. I was a little worried there early on because they were spending a little bit too much time. Ideally, I would like to see Tampa, especially off the initial puck drop where Colorado tries to get the puck in deep like that, especially in the corners. Get the puck, sling it around, get it out of the zone as soon as possible. Don't play around. Don't risk it. Don't put Vasilevskiy in a situation where he needs to come out of the net and play the puck. I trust Vazzy. He's a great goaltender. He did a fantastic job in net last night, 37 saves. But he is one of the worst goaltenders when it comes to handling the puck. So, keep him in net, let him do his job, and that is just block shots. Don't handle the puck. Don't do any of that, please. As for Vasilevskiy, I knew he was going to show up. I really knew he was. We could say that obviously after giving up 7 goals in the game prior, he's been here before. I didn't think he was going to come out and put out the same kind of performance that we saw prior or something similar. He's a gamer. I hate using that expression, but in this situation, I got to use it. He came up big when his team needed him. He made a lot of great saves last night. A lot of I forgot what shot it was. It might have been on McKinnon or Landeskog, one of the big guys for the Avalanche, but he made a great pad save moving to his right. So that was a great save by him. And he did a very good job in this one of just not overextending himself on saves, staying in position. And that's really something that Vasilevskiy has sometimes struggled with. We saw in that situation in game 1 in overtime, which led to the overtime win for the Avalanche right there. That was a little bit of a weird goal, but I'll give him the pass on that. But Vasilevskiy, it seemed like he couldn't really get going the first couple of games. And that was the case pretty much in every series except the Florida one, where Vazzy is kind of a slow starter in these series. I don't know why. He's always been like this, even in just single games. It always takes him a little bit of a while to get going. He's never, on point. But fantastic job from him. Fantastic job from the PK last night. Listen, against a team like the Colorado Avalanche, the way their offense is, 2 out of 4 on the power play, I'll take that. I'll take that against them any day of the week. And on the other side of that, the Lightning 1 for 6 on the power play. I'm not entirely worried about that. They did score 6 goals last night, so you gotta take the little victories. But yeah, all around great effort from this team last night, and let's hope that they can bring that same energy into game 4. So looking at game 4 now, I'm curious as to see what we're going to see from the Avalanche, because they did pull Kemper, which I was surprised about. I was very surprised that they pulled Kemper after I think it was 5 goals. Was it 5 goals? I believe it was 5. I'm curious because when we did the crossover episodes with Chris and Kyle from Locked On Avalanche, I really, those guys were split on who they wanted in net. I believe it was Kyle that wanted Kemper in net for them, and then Chris wanted Francois. And I mean, to be honest, I don't really know too much about either of those guys. I know Francois had a good season last year, and he didn't really perform so well. We've only seen the Lightning. We've only seen the Avalanche twice this year, so you can't really take those performances too seriously, considering that was very early on in the season for the most part, and both teams, at least the Lightning, are a different team now than what they were at that point. Listen, at this point, if anytime you could chase a goaltender out of the net, especially in the playoffs, that's a great thing. So what I would hope I hope that Bednar throws Kemper right back out there for game 4, just because Kemper is going to have his confidence pretty low. And I think that the Lightning are going to have to go out there. They're going to have to jump on him real quick. And then, at that point, I think if they could get on him real quick, get maybe 1 or 2, especially bad bounce goals, you can't really plan those. Those just happen. But if you get bad bounce goals, I think, I think the floodgates could open again. I saw a tweet from Locked On Wild host Seth Tupel. I'm going to reach out to Seth and get the scouting report on him, because when Kemper was with the Wild, he's very familiar with him. Seth, it seems as though, is that Kemper is very susceptible to games like what we saw last night. So something to keep an eye out for. So, just based off of that, I take Seth's word as law. Obviously, he knows the Wild, and obviously he knows Darcy Kemper very well. So if he thinks that Kemper is susceptible to a performance like this, then I want Darcy Kemper out in Game 4. But even off of that, just off of last night's performance, I think Bednar is not afraid to throw Kemper back out there, just because he's been your guy this entire series, and you're not going to at least me, I wouldn't let one bad game define who's going to play, especially when you're up in the series, who's going to play the next game. But yeah, it really doesn't matter so much about what Kemper is doing. The Lightning could only go out there and play with that same ferociousness on the offensive side of things. If they could do that, if they could come out, capitalize on chances, be smart with the puck, which we saw. And I didn't even mention they played fantastic in the neutral zone last night, especially along the boards. And if they could do all of that, which is easier said than done, I think the Lightning have a very, very, very good chance of winning Game 4. And yeah, this team has proven that they're by no means done with this playoff run. That's why I find it absolutely hilarious with some of the YouTube comments and tweets that I've been getting, saying that this team's done, that this Lightning team has never played a team like Colorado before. And my thought process is that, yeah, but Colorado's never been here before. Colorado hasn't been here in a very long time. Maybe one or two guys off the top of my head that, if I'm correct, on this Colorado team have played in a Stanley Cup final. So you have the talent, 100%. That's not disputed in this case, but the experience. Now, can you bounce back in the Stanley Cup final? It's totally different bouncing back in round 2 against the St. Louis Blues than to bounce back in the Stanley Cup final against the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions. Obviously, the champs have to go out there, replicate a performance similar to that of what we saw in Game 3, but at the same time, now it falls on Colorado to go out there and get things together, play a certain type of way to where they can't allow not only something like this to happen again, 6 goals, but to, win. Which, listen, I'm in the boat right now, and you Avalanche trolls could troll me all you wish, but at the end of the day, until they could prove, and it goes both ways, because I've seen it. The series ain't over until you win 4 games. It's simple math. And at the same time, until the Avalanche prove to me that they could bounce back from, because this was a bad loss for them. This was a bad loss, and I'm not even saying that speaking from someone of the Lightning side. I'm speaking now from someone who just general hockey fan. This was a bad loss, and prove to me that you could win the big games, because this is the biggest game any of these players on Colorado will have played all season long. And that goes for any player on the Lightning too. This is every game that we play going forward is the biggest game that any player will have played all season long. So Game 4 is going to be, can the Lightning replicate their performance? And on the other side of that, prove to me that this great Avalanche team can go out there and win the big games. Because if they can't, so far, dropping 2 against, winning. Look what you did. You have 2 series in which you swept teams. Nashville, okay, everybody saw that coming. Edmonton, other than McDavid and Draisaitl, who do you really have on that team? Maybe Evander Kane, okay. And that Blue series, okay, you dropped 2 games, but you haven't faced a team as experienced as Tampa all season long. So really, what it comes down to: can this level of talent? Because I'll be the first one to admit, the talent level in Colorado is way higher than the talent level on Tampa. But when it comes down to it, um, experience in the end, in my opinion, experience in the end always prevails over talent. And can Colorado prevail? Do they have enough talent to prevail over this veteran group? And yeah, we saw it in the first two games, but we saw it last night that this Colorado team, they're mortal. We cracked the armor. We found the code, and Tampa's going to use that in game 4. So make sure to like and subscribe to the show because we will be dropping more episodes as we go along. Make sure and follow me on Twitter at DankyDank, DENKYD8NK. If you're an Avalanche fan, go ahead and troll me all you want. I don't care. If you're a Lightning fan, let's talk about the Lightning. Let's have actual conversations about how good this team is and how well they played the other night. And as always, go ahead and follow the page at @L_Lightning on Twitter, as well as LockedOn_Lightning on Instagram. And once again, subscribe to the page on YouTube and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified as soon as episodes drop. So that's been it for today's episode of Locked On Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Adam Tanker. I'll talk to you next one.